What's up guys, it's David from OneTechStop.net, and today I'm bringing you the full review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. Every year, Samsung updates their Galaxy Note line with a new processor, better camera, and new functionality to its S Pen. This year, Samsung stepped up their build quality game, adding a new premium glass backing to their devices, as well as a metal band around the edge. There are quite a few updates for the phones this year, so let's get into it. Probably the first thing you're going to notice about the device is the new 1440p screen. Samsung's using a new panel sporting 518 pixels per inch and Gorilla Glass 4 for extreme density and durability. The panel is also using a Super AMOLED technology, which adds deep and vibrant color reproduction. I'm just going to throw it out here now, but this is the best panel I have ever used on a mobile display. While it's common for Samsung to step up their panel game year after year, I feel like we're starting to hit a wall in terms of sharpness and clarity on mobile displays. While I agree that 1440p is noticeable, if not by a large amount, 1440p seems to be the optimal resolution in terms of quality and battery life. And colors are getting to the point where they look even more real than real life. If you're looking for the best possible display on a mobile device right now, this is where you're going to find it. While Samsung's new design schema may seem controversial for a number of reasons that I'll get into later, there's no denying that it absolutely screams premium. Their new all-glass back and metal framing is something to admire. And when holding the device, you'll not only feel like you've got a solid piece of technology in your hands, but a solid piece of art. As I mentioned in the first look video, the device is hefty, but that's not really a bad thing. It's quite a bit heavier than the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, but adds a kind of weight that makes the device feel solid and well built. Save the rounded curve of the glass on the back, the device is actually pretty squared off, and all but the camera and physical buttons sit flush. The build of this thing is nothing to jaunt at, and with all that said, I hope Samsung continues to develop on this design for devices to come. When it comes to Android, Samsung's cameras have always been among the best in the business, and the Note 5 is no exception. Samsung's new module features 16 megapixels with up to 4K image resolution, optical image stabilization, autofocus, and a nice LED flash. The front-facing camera is 5 megapixels as well, which is a nice addition for you looking to up your selfie game. Looking at you, Derek. While specs can be fun to listen to, the photos speak for themselves, so I'll let the music run a bit and you can see for yourself. Android has been rapidly getting more and more streamlined as Google sends us new tasty flavors to try, and manufacturer skins seem to be moving in that direction as well. TouchWiz used to be the absolute bane of my existence, but I'm happy to say that's not really longer the case. Samsung's finally began to streamline their own experience, and it's actually kind of pleasant. It runs very smoothly and apps launch and switch quick. They also didn't preload all that much bloatware into the device, very similar to the normal Galaxy S6, which makes me pretty happy as well. While speakers in the device complement the design schema quite well, it's almost comical how easy it is to dampen them. They aren't the best speakers available by a long shot, and holding them in the normal media consumption position causes the user to cover up the speakers with the side of their hand. Since the device is made of a sturdy glass and metal, That's the only area where the sound exits the device, and there's no sort of vibration or reverberation that allows for sound to escape otherwise. Take a look at what I mean. I'm still waiting for some front-facing speakers on a Samsung device, as those have proven to be the absolute best experience in terms of media consumption. Just like its predecessors in line, this phone is big. But is that really a bad thing? I mean, it seems like all the popular devices these days are kind of a similar size, and phones are becoming much more geared towards media consumption than actual phone calls. That being said, I could see it being an issue fitting in the pockets of some tight jeans or pants. And if you fit into that kind of category, there are definitely some other devices that might better fit your needs, or jeans. The S Pen is definitely the herald of the Galaxy Note series, and Samsung has continued to flesh out some cool upgrades to its functionality. The new pen clicks into its chassis to hold it in place, which is actually pretty useful given the fact that a lot of users I know had issues with the pens getting lost and having to buy new ones. Just don't put it in backwards. The biggest upgrade in my personal opinion is the ability to take the pen out and immediately jot down a note. The amount of time it usually takes me to open my device, launch Google Keep, and start taking a note is way too long and usually ends up pretty awkward. This is a feature that should have been available in the original Note, but since I never thought about it till now, I guess I'll let it slide and just throw out a thank you. The pen shows the stylus position on the screen when it floats above it, which, while not a new feature, is actually pretty cool. This works just like a computer mouse, which is extremely useful, especially on forums, which often have drop-down bars within drop-down bars within drop-down bars. This allows for one-click access to pages that usually would take multiple on most web devices. The new improved Air Command window allows you to select from a variety of S Pen apps from a single click, which is also pretty useful if you want to access any apps from that window. There are also some useful cropping features that you could usually only do in something like Photoshop. Overall, the upgrades to the S Pen are few, but pretty powerful and very useful. While the battery life on the Note 5 is nothing to write home about, it's definitely a welcome change to the battery experience on the Galaxy S6 line. The Note series was always known for a phenomenal battery life, and while this isn't the best that I've seen, I easily get through an entire day of usage without having to worry. Something people aren't too happy about though is the lack of a removable battery. Though the days of forcing a restart by removing the battery seem to be long gone, many people still like to have an extra lying around for those long trips and excursions. Luckily, the availability of portable battery banks is rising pretty rapidly, and the newer ones also include Qualcomm's Quick Charge 2.0 for rapid jolts of power. It's a trade-off really, and I would say that Samsung's new design schema is worth the lack of battery to pull and swap out. It's definitely a personal preference thing though, so take that as you will. The lack of expandable storage on this line of devices is still really frustrating to me though. People have varying amounts of media stored on their personal handsets, and while it's technically enough for my usage since I store everything in the cloud, many people like to have their media on them locally, and it can be frustrating to not have the opportunity to utilize the extremely cheap world of expandable media. With the recent implementation of SIM and microSD cards in one slot, I'm actually hoping that Samsung chooses to utilize this in their next handset. The Galaxy Note 5 is one heck of a device. If you're the type that likes big premium devices and are pretty intrigued by the S Pen, this could be the next device for you. That being said, a few of the design choices have downsides, such as the speakers and lack of microSD compatibility. So if those are important, it might be worth it for you to wait for the next wave of devices to hit the market in the next coming weeks. Again, we want to give a huge shout out and thank you to AT&T for sending us devices. We couldn't be making these video reviews without you. Thanks again. So what are your thoughts on the Galaxy Note 5? Do you like the new additions to the S Pen or maybe the new chamfered edges that Samsung seems to be adding to all their devices? Let us know in the comment section below and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.